Thank you so much. I'm really enjoying this, and I'm sure as you also, my viewers, you are enjoying this. And don't forget to subscribe. And also, I'll provide a link for Argo, contacting Argo officers right after this session beneath my description box. So let's proceed. So I would want to also ask two questions again here. Is a community college a complete no when it comes to visa approval? It is a no. Is it a no-go area? And then secondly, I want to find out, should our responses be close-ended or open-ended? How do you expect? Should we give, let's say, which school are you going to? Should we answer the question by saying the school name, the program, the state? How do visa officers expect us to answer these questions? And then, as I said, it's a community college a complete no.
So to your question about a community college, I'm not going to say a complete no, because that's not going to be the right answer. What I will say is that you do need to explain why this is the right choice for you. Because with schools that have a lower bar for admission to a community college, right? It's sort of students who maybe got lower test scores, or you just sort of, it's easier to get into a community college. And arguably you could get maybe the same education at a community college as maybe you could back home in your home country. So you have to explain to the visa officer why was this the right choice for you? Why is it maybe it made financial sense? Of course, community colleges are often less expensive, so that can factor into it. But why are you traveling all the way to the US to go to a 2-year community college? Why is this the right choice for you? So I think there's some explaining to do around that choice. So it can be a bit of a challenge, but I'm not going to say that it's a complete no go, because plenty of students will go to community college and they'll do well there, and many of those folks will be from overseas. So I think it is all in how you frame why this is the right choice for you.
Brilliant. And the second one was on, should our responses be close-ended, or we should try to expound on any question they give us?
For this, so I think a lot of people think there's a myth that goes around that answers should be short, or should be like 1 or 2 word answers, something like that. And this is another myth that you like to dispel. You need to really explain your answers. While we don't want you to go on and on and on for a very long time, you don't want to drone on and on for too long, but you do want to provide the visa officer with enough good information about yourself and your case. And so I think answering in specifics, in detail, and making it personal, that's really the best thing that you want to do. So, but not necessarily talking about the school has over many acres of green grass, or they have 5 different gyms, or the student to faculty ratio is really all these kind of statistics you can get from the university website. The visa officer doesn't need to be hearing that. What they need to know is, why did you choose this school? What is the personal reasons for you that made it stand out? Because most students will apply to several schools, right? They'll apply to 5, 6, 7 schools, maybe a few that are reach schools, a few that are safety schools. They'll want to cover their bases. And so in the end, if you landed on this particular college, what was the reason for that? So I think erring on the side of more detail and more personalization, that's the best thing to do. But at the same time, you do need to think about being concise, because it is a short interview. It is 2 or 3 minutes. So that's why the preparation is key. Think about what were my main motivations for choosing this school, and how can I condense that into a few sentences for my answer.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really enjoying this. There are some things that I didn't know when I was going for my interview. So I appreciate you so much. I'm learning a lot as someone assisting people. A quick one. So do you think the number of schools I apply to, visa officers will ask, how many schools do you apply to? Do you think the number really plays a significant role in the discussion? To apply to 1 school, 3 or more, does it really play a role?
I think that what the visa officer is trying to try to ascertain by asking that question is, what was your process like when you were deciding to study in the United States? About your process. Did you apply to 5 schools? Did you apply to 3? Trying to figure out, are you a legitimate student? Are you someone who, has the academic background and also the capacity to go and succeed at your studies? And so part of the questions that they ask are, how many schools did you apply to? Because a typical, college student will have applied to several, because they wanted to make sure that they got into at least a couple and had some choices. Right. So I think that, actual number itself doesn't really matter. But I think that you talking about your process most important thing. I applied to 3, I applied to 4, and I got admitted to 2, and then I decided this was the one because they gave me a scholarship. Like that. That's a real answer. That's very open and honest with them, and they're learning something about you and your personality and about your school choice. And so that helps them to figure out that you're a genuine student and you really want to go and study in the US.
Thank you, Maggie. I always like how you give the reason behind the question and not just how to respond to it. Thank you so much. We're going to wrap up very soon. My last but 2 question is, now there is a difficulty in getting F1 visa appointment in some countries. As my country, Ghana, Nigeria, and some other African countries, it's very difficult to get appointments. So applicants are booking for appointments in other countries. Do you think this affects the approval chances when it comes to interview in a different country?
I think it definitely can. I think that this is something that is happening quite commonly now because of some longer wait times around the world. So I think it's definitely a phenomenon that we're seeing at Argo. I think that you just have to keep in mind that if you're speaking to the American visa officer in a different country than the one that you're from, that they might not understand the cultural context as much in terms of where you're from. So when you talk about, oh, my parents make amount of money in local currency, they may not be familiar with that local currency. So you need to translate for them. You need to put that into US dollars. You need to put that into a context that they can understand, especially if you're traveling, far further away from your home country. Maybe you went to a great university in your home country that anyone who is living and working in your home country would know about. But say if you're going to travel, they might not know that that's a great university with a great reputation. So you need to tell them. You need to tell them that information. So I think it's definitely possible, and it's certainly a good route for a lot of students this visa season. But I think you do need to think about, how can I translate my experiences and my life and sort of country conditions that I'm coming from? How can I help them to understand life, and to sort of understand too what your ties are to your home country, because that's the main thing. That presumption of immigrant intent, convincing the visa officer that you do plan to return to your home country. That's part of the visa qualification for the visa. So if you're traveling to a third country, a different country, to apply for your visa, you still need to be thinking about, how am I going to convince that visa officer that I do wish to return to my home country at the conclusion of my studies.
Wow. Thank you so much. I think I want us to go beyond for this session. Mention the word I was going to ask you a question on, that is ties. A lot of F1 visa students are unmarried. Now, I want you to just give general when it comes to what are some things that you can say that, okay, when an applicant shows this or touches on this, they have home ties. What are some things that you look at when it comes to home ties, especially unmarried students or single students?
We talk about ties to home country. They can be a variety of things. They can be ties or economic ties. You've been working a bit in your home country, and so you have some ties there, professionally. They can be family ties, maybe your parents, your siblings, your extended family, your community, that kind of thing. They can be social ties. You're very active in your community. You have a lot of friends. You're a part of clubs, etc. Be all manner of ties that you have to your home country. I think that's something that students certainly need to be thinking about. And then they also need to explain to the officer about how doing this degree in the United States and then returning to their home country to continue their career, how this is going to help them. So, you have to really sort of think about, what it means for you in the future. How is this going to the US going to study, doing this degree? How is this going to help you, when you return to your home country, whether it's continuing your career, starting a business, maybe joining a family business, be specific about what your plans are, because that is part of it. Returning to home country. So definitely keep that in mind.
Yeah. Thank you for breaking it down when it comes to the ties. Last one, let me ask it, just wrap it for us. Okay, let me break it together. Let me break it down. So the last but one is there a quota for any day that we go for an interview, and now that visa officers approve, and once they reach that number, that is it? I know there's any house information. I don't know if you would be willing to share or not, but yeah, there's a myth like that.
So that's another myth that I'm happy to dispel. Absolutely not. There are not any quotas, not any set numbers. it's based on your qualifications. It's based on how the visa officer perceives your qualifications and the control. And you do have control over this. You know, a short amount of time that you have to present yourself, but what have in control of is, you know, how to present yourself and how confident you seem. And if you are touching on the items that students need to touch on. And so just sort of briefly, I'll go over those three. I think I've touched on them, you know, in conversation, but, you know, for a genuine student, this is something you need to convince the visa officer of. And there's a variety of ways to do this. You know, about your previous academic background, you talk about your choosing your school, you talk about your future career, you know, what do you do to show that you are a genuine student who's going to succeed at your studies in the US. So point number 2 is the financial point that I think we've talked about. So how are you going to pay for your studies? Is it a scholarship? Is it a loan? Is it a grant? Is it family money? Is it savings? You know, how to pay for it? Be specific, be confident about it, and touch on that point. And the third point that we just touched on is, you know, home country. What's going to bring you back? Is it your career, your family? Is it both? You know, plans for the future. And so as long as you're covering those 3 things, you know, the main things that the visa officer is looking for. So, you know, other thing I would encourage people is to not fill their interview with extraneous information. You know, you just sort of walk there and say, oh, I'm really nervous today. And, oh, you know, and you just want to really jump in there and be very proactive and you know, questions, but make sure you're touching on those 3 items that I discussed, because that's what the visa officer, that's the information they're going to use to make a decision on your application.
Wow. Thank you so much. I think I was even going to ask you what would be your top 3 advice, and I think you've given us some 3 solid things that we should look out for. I'll allow you your closing remarks, like your points that you'd want to give to my viewers, and then share. I mean, if you want to share about Argo, I'm going to attach the link in the description and also in the comment section, so guys, you can check it out. But I'm going to allow Miss Maggie to help out with some insightful tips, final tips that she believes it will help you. And yeah, anything about Argo you want to add, and we wrap it up. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So my final, just yourself, are passionate about something, and they want to make a difference. They want to go out there. They want to study something. There's about studying America that really appeals to them. So, let personality shine through. Be yourself. Also prepare ahead of time. Think about what you're going to say without coming off as too wooden or robotic or pre-rehearsed. You be yourself, but also prepare. It's sort of a job interview. Argo Visa, we can help you with this. We offer, with myself, with my colleagues, a lot of us are specialists. We've served in many different regions of the world. And so we're with, different countries, and so, we can help you. We can answer your questions. We can run mock interviews. We can give you feedback. We can help people increase their confidence ahead of that important visa interview. And it's best, I think, to do preparation ahead of the very first interview, because if you're refused, it does become more difficult in the future to get your visa. It's possible, but still more challenging. So I think it's best to, if get some expert advice, before your very first interview, because, the important thing, most people, they want to do well, and it really affects their future. And so, to do that preparation. So, reach us at Argo Visa. We'd love to hear from you. We're a friendly team, and, or you can send us an email at hello@argovisa.com. Check out our website as well at Argo Visa. And also we're on all the social media stuff too. So, check out there. We also offer some great videos on YouTube that, some tips depending on your visa category. And so, check there. But it's great to talk to you, Kingsford, and thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Maggie. My questions are really a lot. Trust me, I've asked questions upon questions upon questions for about 3 hours nonstop. But I think this was very comprehensive and exhaustive for my viewers, and I'm sure they enjoyed it, and they are going to reach out. I'm going to drop your link, your social media handles, every place. They have to follow you and reach out, and I'm sure you're going to get, it's about 62,000 people are watching. So definitely you're going to get some people from my end. And thank you once again, Maggie. I really enjoyed it personally, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Me too. Thanks so much, Kingsford. Take care.
Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye.